In 2010, construction crews digging the foundation for a high-security parking garage at Ground Zero hit a depth of 22 feet below the tarmac and stopped. Hidden in the mud and construction debris were the skeletal remnants of an ancient wooden ship. This shallow-water maritime vessel was completely landlocked, buried beneath half a mile of modern skyscrapers and hundreds of yards away from the nearest shoreline. Investigating how these wrecks ended up beneath the pavement reveals the physical, often violent changes New York made to its own geography as it grew. Archaeologists analyzed the well-preserved tree rings in the ship's timbers, dating the felled wood to the early 1770s. Wedged inside the wreckage was a weathered pewter button, stamped with the number 52. That button belonged to a soldier in the 52nd Regiment of the British Army, Grenadier assault troops stationed in New York during the American Revolution. These troops used this small vessel to ferry captured Americans out to the HMS Jersey, a rotting, floating prison in Wallabout Bay, known to prisoners as Hell Afloat. Historians estimate that 11,000 men died from disease and exposure on the Jersey alone. That is twice the number of Americans lost in combat during the entire Revolutionary War. After the war, an expanding New York needed more wharf space. Instead of clearing out the old docks, builders extended the island of Manhattan outward, dumping earth and rubble directly into the bay, abandoning the old British ferry in the mud and building the new city directly over it. By expanding the shoreline over the ruins of its past, New York prioritized new real estate over its own history. By the mid-1800s, the harbor's vital second gateway, the East River, was obstructed by a massive hazard. Flood rock was a 9-acre stone reef that destroyed 1 out of every 50 merchant ships attempting to pass through the channel. This 3D topographical diagram shows the modern Hellgate riverbed. There is no reef here. Instead, sonar scanning reveals a flattened, rubble-filled crater exactly where the obstacle used to be. In 1885, engineers attacked the problem from below. Miners spent 9 years digging 4 miles of tunnels into the bedrock, drilling 15,000 holes and packing them with 150 tons of explosives. On October 10, 1885, they finally triggered the detonation, at the time the absolute largest man-made explosion in history. 50,000 people gathered along the East River to watch as 7 million cubic feet of pulverized rock flew into the sky. To keep the shipping lanes open and the cargo moving, New York physically removed the obstacles nature put in its way. The newly cleared waterways soon handled up to 20,000 boats a year. Faster crossings meant higher profits, making the approach to the city increasingly crowded and dangerous. In 1886, the record-breaking ocean steamer SS Oregon was gored by another vessel in the dark, sinking just miles from its final destination. The danger soon shifted from commercial traffic to military conflict. The USS San Diego, a 500-foot armored warship, was rocked by a mysterious explosion and sank outside the harbor in just 20 minutes. Modern scanning of the wreck reveals the fatal wound, an impact hole below the waterline measuring only 5 feet across. That 5-foot diameter matches the specific damage caused by naval mines laid by a German U-boat mucking just outside New York Harbor. But a 5-foot hole should not have been enough to capsize a 500-foot warship. The vessel was equipped with heavy watertight bulkheads designed specifically to seal off flooding. This diagram shows how the water bypassed those bulkheads. Because the ship was fueled by coal, it used vertical chutes to move fuel between decks. Seawater poured in and cascaded through these open chutes, flooding the entire interior until the ship flipped upside down. As the port became the busiest in the Western Hemisphere, it turned into an inevitable target for powers wanting to strike the American economy. Beneath the Atlantic, these rusted iron hulls and rotting wooden timbers sit in contrast to the modern skyline built above them. The modern landscape is a product of these repeated, calculated efforts to reshape the environment. The city grew by paving over its own conflicts, detonating natural geography, and weathering direct attacks to keep its port open. The skyscrapers of New York are built upon the literal and metaphorical bones of the ships it sacrificed to reach this scale.